Let's go. Hello YouTube, this is Scrub6 Actual. Man, first sentence in, and this is difficult. Okay, here's the thing, I don't do this. I don't sit in front of my camera and speak to an audience because I don't have an audience. I'm not asking for an audience or trying to... That's not why this thing exists. That's not why this channel exists, alright? This channel exists to document my own personal love for drumming, okay? But I find myself in a unique position, okay? I have this camera, I have this microphone and this editing software. I have the capabilities of putting together a complete piece of media for you to view, okay? And responsibility comes with that. The question then is what I have to say worth hearing? Is it worth your time? Because this video isn't gonna be flashy. It's not gonna be cultivated to your short attention span. I'm not gonna try and hold your hand. I'm not gonna create some formulaic Mr. Beast-esque AI generated thumbnail to trigger your little dopamine sensors and make you feel good. That's not why I'm here. The likelihood of whoever needs to see this video having found this video, clicked on it, and watching through to this point where we're at right now is low enough. Okay, that's before we even draw attention to the existence of any of YouTube's algorithms. Okay? Algorithms that are built around censorship, algorithms that are built directly to push or hide other videos. Okay, we know that this exists, and we know that people are hidden and what they have to say will go silent, and even the low likelihood of you reaching it to this point, of me finishing a created video, putting it up for public ridicule, and you being able to sit there and hear me out to get to what I have to say. I haven't even gotten there yet. It's very low. But this is a shot in the dark. That's what this is. This is a raw, unfiltered attack on the algorithm. Okay? I don't want in all honesty, I don't want the responsibility of this. This talking on camera, it's not for me. I don't want the fame. I don't want your attention. I don't care for your inevitable ridicule. That's not what any of this is about. What this is about is drawing attention to a sensitive issue that's somewhat overlooked in the state of the world today. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm talking about Jesus. Why is this the issue that's somewhat overlooked? Okay, because Jesus is the fence. Jesus is the true dividing line on the issues that we're having today. And it's not right versus left. It's not Democrat versus Republican or American versus Israeli. It's not anything other than at its core good versus evil. Okay, and there's only one way onto that good side. There's only one way. And you know what that is. It's not my job to teach you that. It's your job to ask. Okay, man, I'm gonna have to do some editing to this video, and I really didn't want to. I thought that it would be easy to sit in front of a camera, turn it on, hit record on my microphone, and just be able to speak plainly to you, but that's not the reality. You see, when you start talking about Jesus, things start getting hard. Why is that? Things start getting hard in a number of different ways. First off, it's hard because it's a responsibility. It's a choice. You may be the first experience that someone ever has with Jesus. They could have complete ignorance of the subject to begin with, okay? And given the existence of this platform, you could be watching this from a different country. You might be hearing my words translated to you, and this could be a first for you. That's a heavy weight in and of itself. But that's before even acknowledging things that exist, like spiritual attack. Okay, I've tried 5 times now to record this video. I've written scripts, I've prepared things to say, and it hasn't taken any of the weight off. I'll start recording, and if I can manage to fight through the fear and the shame and the preventatives, everything stopping me from even hitting record and taking a shot at it, if I can get past that, I'm still open to attack the whole time. My recording software just now, as I'm sitting here, it's just now. As you're watching, who knows when the time is, because time is relative, right? But the moment I started speaking about Jesus, I rambled for, that's sad, almost 15 minutes before I actually started speaking on Jesus. And as soon as I did, my GarageBand recording software that I'm running this mic through right now, it shut off. And sure, we can call that coincidence. I guess we only don't believe in coincidence in reference to conspiracy theory, right? I don't know if I should say it. But here goes nothing. So, Christianity is defined as the religion derived from Jesus Christ. Okay, derived meaning being, possessing, or marked by a character. And religion being defined as an organized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Here's my piece. That's a trap. Okay? That's using Jesus to put you into organized attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Okay? Jesus didn't ask you to be a Christian. He didn't. And before I tell you what he did ask of us, I want to say this. First off, if you haven't opened a Bible, if you haven't read the gospel, how can you know to dispute anything that I'm about to say? I feel as though you should start there. Okay? Let's be perfectly clear about this. The end goal is to bring the gospel to people, okay? And I'm not an evangelist and not a public speaker. Quite frankly, I'm dog shit at this. But Jesus didn't ask you to be a Christian. Jesus asked you to pick up your own cross and follow him. Okay? That's what I'm doing today. That's what I'm doing right now. Because speaking into this little black circle of death, I know the attack that comes with it. Okay, it's inevitable. And there's fear with that. There's weight with that. There's a lot that comes with that. But I'm going to try and get back on track here. So, Jesus asks us to know and to love the Father, and he asks us to preach the gospel. He asks us to bring the gospel to people. Okay, now, what does that mean? What is the gospel? Well, you can read the gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, in any copy of a New Testament, but before you do that, okay, I really think you should evaluate where you are in life before you open that, okay? Because it's hard to read. Not on a scale of intelligence or complexity, it's hard to read because it's convicting, okay? It's going to make you mad if there's something wrong with you. If you are firmly encamped on that side of the line that is evil, it's going to be very hard for you, okay? That Jesus convicts. He changed my life. Obviously, that's why I'm speaking not just on the subject, but at all. That's why there's air in my lungs still. And maybe you're a believer. That's great. Thank God. But at the end of the day, you're not the target audience, are you? Jesus didn't say, take my words to the other believers and feel good together, to go to church on Sundays, and now he never said any of that. Again, this is the dangerous thing, right? Because you need to know for yourself what Jesus said. And it's not my place to tell you. I can read from the gospel to you and tell you Jesus' words, but it's going to fall short because it's coming through my mouth. It's coming through me. It's coming through my interpretation of the world and being spit out into a camera, into a microphone, into YouTube. I'm going to have to edit this video, and there's so many links in that chain for failure. This video, even if you find Jesus because of it, isn't saving you. Nothing can. Straight up. Except Jesus. But that doesn't happen because you watched my video. That doesn't happen because you go to church on Sundays. You need to ask him how it happens. That's kind of my whole point. I'm not here to debate theology. I'm not here to argue politics. I'm not here to fearmonger and cast this, this repeated script that you've heard your whole life. Okay, I'm not playing this religion game. I'm not. The definition of religion in and of itself, it's not Jesus. In my own opinion, Jesus would flip that frickin' table, man. There's plenty of Christian tables Jesus would flip. I don't have any sort of ending written or worked up. I don't know what I'll even want to include in this first video because, you know, this page, it's got 35 subscribers. And after I post this video, probably gonna lose a couple of them too. There's some of my subscribers are subscribed because they hate me and they want to see me fail. So hopefully we can thin that herd at least. But look, man, I don't have a crowd. This right here, it's not about that. It's not about having a well-articulated piece to speak. I didn't even want to edit this video because it makes it look so disingenuous. But the fact of, you know, people are not going to sit there and stay connected to you in this digital world while you're sitting there thinking and being a human. Okay? Because they don't care about you. At the end of the day, they're watching their video and fitting you into their own life only for what they're willing to, you know, as long as I've got my finger on that dopamine button, if I'm, you know, reassuring you or making you happy, it's all about how you feel, right? It's about how other people make you feel. If I start convicting you or making you angry or speaking about subjects that you don't like, you're gone in a heartbeat. You're gonna try and tell me that people are gonna sit for authenticity? You're gonna tell me that you crave authenticity when, man, you can't handle being bored. How are you supposed to have an original thought? How are you supposed to have a genuine interaction when you need a script for every encounter? When you have to have a formulaic, scientific, broke down approach of the cadence of my voice, and I have to hold your hand and entertain you with this flashy video with the perfect coloring lights in the background, and, you know, maybe I should even cut my hair and shave my face and dress away to make you feel better about yourself. I don't think any of this matters. None of it. Nothing that we see on the TV, right? World War III. And as of May 6th, still congressionally unapproved World War III. Armageddon. All of these things that are being touted, dragged in our face. Gas is over $5 a gallon and steady rising. The ceasefire's broken and they're lying about it. It's what, the 100th time that the ceasefire's been broken? The American military is literally being attacked. And if you think that's not because we're attempting to put boots on the ground, you're a dipshit. I spent 6 years and 11 months in the Marine Corps on active duty. I deployed 3 times, okay? I've gone on the specific deployment that those people were going on to set up for the initial boots on the ground in Iran, okay? For me, it was Syria. 2017, under Donald Trump. Man, just because I spoke those words into a camera, I bet there's gonna be some black helicopters over my house, some black vans, right? Because censorship is not only real, it's not only an ever-present fact in reality, it's waiting for you. We know. No, I'm not even doing that. I'm not unrolling this political ball. You know, that's not the importance. Jesus is what's important. I sat down in front of this camera to tell you that. I believe in Jesus. He's in my life. He not only has saved this current living body that's here right now speaking to you, but there's more than that. Okay? There's so much more than that that we can't see. There's so much more than that that I can't give you a verified file of and show you. Here's your soul, idiot. This is what's important, right? Because that's what I need. And the Bible's pretty close to that, but the Bible's hard work, man. People are afraid of hard work. I'm afraid of hard work. And it's not that I'm unwilling. I do it. But speaking on it is so much more dangerous because, first off, if you think demons don't know Scripture, you're wrong. If you think that Scripture can't be twisted, regardless of its actual saying and meaning, and its rootedness in truth, if you think that people don't attempt to twist it, man, that's where most effort gets put into Scripture. That ain't my fight, dog. Even Jesus battled that. Read the gospel, see his story, see what happened, see what was spoken about against Jesus. Let alone that they murdered him. Okay? The ominous they. Now, drawing attention to the fence, what do you feel that is? What do you feel the true dividing line is between humans today? Not just Americans. I'm an American. I'm sitting in America right now. But we're certainly not the only people here. And I can't speak firsthand as to what's going on in the world. I can't speak firsthand as to what's going on in politics. I can't speak firsthand as to what's going on in this war because at the end of the day, I get my information from the same place you do. And I'm not an expert by any means. But what I can do is I can sit here and I can tell you about my personal testimony in life, my own life experience, my own witness. And I think that we don't have much more free speech ahead of us to be able to do this. I really don't want to get into fear-mongering. I'm certainly not going to lecture anyone on theology. That's not what this is about, man. That's not my place to do that. I'm not a teacher. I don't know where you are in your journey. I know nothing about you. But what I can do is draw attention to the line that there is a fence that people have unknowingly chosen sides on or willingly chosen sides on. And it's a much bigger issue than people think. The line that I'm talking about is the line between good and evil. Now, it would be very easy to misconstrue this line's importance as a right or a left, or conservative and Democrat, or liberal and anything else. But that's not the base issue at the end of the day, is it? Those are just labels that we've attached, and those labels aren't even that old. It's a relatively new thing. I think it's really dangerous to sit in front of a camera and and to try and mess with people's lives. Okay? Now, you experience that on a daily basis. That's happening to you every time you turn on your TV. That's exactly what's happening. Making this video has been so hard. There's so much fear that goes into not just how you're perceived by other people and the the inevitable judgment that's going to come with that. People are going to hate on you regardless of what you have to say. And I'm going to use some pretty big buzzwords here. Buzzwords that get you canceled, buzzwords that get your money taken away. And I feel that they're buzzwords that in the near future they might get your freedom taken away too. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Anti-Semitism. Let's talk about the term. Okay. First off, it exists. It's very real and it's very prevalent today. Nobody wants to be an anti-Semite, right? Okay, that's like the biggest thing that people talk about. And what is the mental image that is brought to the forefront of your mind? What's been programmed into you to what pops into your head when you hear the word Jew? Okay, I know that for me, in my experience as a millennial born in the 90s, growing up in this age that we find ourselves in, I know that when I hear the word Jew, I think of the starving and emaciated, innocent small child and women and elderly in concentration camps in the Holocaust, right? Okay, because that is the programmed image that is supposed to pop into your head when you hear the word Jew. Those are the people that they want you to see when someone says that Jews are evil. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that here. I'm not saying that those emaciated, starving, innocent children, women, and elderly that were murdered, I'm not saying that they are evil. Okay? That's asinine. But that is the image that comes into your head. That's the image that people subconsciously defend when they speak against the Jews. So I'm going to try really hard not to use that term to describe the group of people that I want to talk about, because it isn't them. Okay, first off, they were murdered and are gone, and those do not equate to what we are experiencing in 2026 from the governmental leadership of the Jewish nation. Okay? Now, it pains me that I had to attempt such a politically correct way to speak this, but let's be honest with ourselves here, right? You're sensitive, and I'm trying to actually get past your hate. Okay? That's probably an impossible term, so that's about as much kid gloves as you're going to get out of this. I'll try really hard not to call them the Jews. First off, let's try and identify this them. What does them mean? Alright? Because the ominous they, right? They, that doesn't equate to Jew. Alright, let's throw that out the window. But they is a very heavily used term in the conspiracy theory world, and that in and of itself is a trap. If you try explaining things and going in depth and rationalizing your experience in the conspiracy theory world to anyone, you're you're only labeling yourself as crazy, because that's the programmed effect. That's the reason for the term's creation and labeling, and that's why it exists. It's to discredit you. It's to disprove you. It's to make your argument useless because you're crazy. You believe in this. But nonetheless, the ominous they, okay? Let's try and nail that down, right? So, back to the line that I was rambling about earlier, okay? Good on one side and evil on the other. I would like to think that collectively, when we refer to the ominous they, that ominous they is placed on the evil side of that line, okay? Now, identifying they is very difficult. How do you identify something? Do we have to call it out specifically by name, like on an individual basis? And you may think that that's necessary for you. Maybe that gives you some sort of comfort. But isn't labeling they as the evil side, isn't that really enough? The principality of evil, okay? The social construct of evil. What does that look like? Well, it's named many different things, and it looks like many different things, but it stems from the same place. It stems from evil. It has the same goal: to pull you away from the Father, to ruin your relationship with the Father, to distract you from the Father, to make you forget about the Father, or outright rebel against Him. And the easiest way to do that is to attack His Son, right? Because how do you word theological debate? Where do you take this, right? Because I don't want to be sitting here. I don't want to be talking to you. I don't want fame. I don't want followers. I don't even want your attention. Okay? I don't want to be involved in this. At this point in the state of the world, if I didn't have kids, I wouldn't even want to be here. In fact, for years that was the case. I actively lived my life in an attempt to not be here. And straight up, Jesus didn't let that happen.